Welcome to the Wakefield Doctrine, the theory of Clark, Scott, and Rogers. This is episode 12 of the Video Friday series of video interviews, except in that today we're not going to be having anybody to interview for various reasons that we won't go into unless I run out of material to talk about in the next 8 minutes. We got no guest. It just didn't work out. We had a friend of the Doctrine who we may get eventually, but just couldn't make it for today. And it is 5:32 Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time here in Doctrineville. So we got to get something in the can and up into the ozone so we can put it up for you folks tomorrow. Well, with no guests, we've kind of likened the interview thing. We've had good interviews with Downsprings and Progenitors. And however, you know, we're out of them. We've gone through everybody. And so one thing, I might as well just interview myself. What the hell? Since I am the primary force behind this here doctrine here. Nobody else thought of it, by the way. But then again, that's okay. They work hard. They carry their weight and all like that, but and if regular readers will remember that we tend to ask a couple of same questions every interview. Hey there, what do you like about the doctrine? How do you tell people about the doctrine? So we'll go for that. There's an obvious joke coming up, by the way. I'll do it anyway. I've done it on the previous 3 takes. So, hello Clark, welcome to the Wakefield Doctrine. How are you doing? Pretty good. I'm the interviewer, you're the Clark. Translated means no shit. Okay. So tell the readers, Clark, what do you like most about the Wakefield Doctrine? None of your fucking business. I love that joke, by the way. I did this like 3 previous takes. Liked it so much we kept it in. But seriously, folks, what do I do to tell people about the doctrine? That's a secondary question we've asked everyone. And it's been as revealing as everything else about this damn doctrine of ours. To wit, meaning that even though we're not setting out to prove the doctrine or show that it's an accurate capsule of behavior or whatever we want to call when you prove the thing is right, we haven't done that deliberately, but damn it if it doesn't turn out that way every time we turn around. Case in point, we asked that question of both our Scots, both Downsprings, Glenn and AKH, and their response as to the value of the doctrine and how they described how they would tell other people came out the same, and they weren't consulting on that. Not only did it come out the same for the Scots, so there's consistency within the group description, but they also reflected what we're positing as the Scotian worldview. Glenn put it best, and he said the doctrine gives him an edge, competitive advantage. He knows what the other person's going to be doing, which is the primary Scotian value for a thing like this. Progenitor Roger, when asked about it, and Downspring Joanne, they liked the idea. What they liked about it was the idea of history, learning, knowing people through the doctrine, knowing their history, knowing things about them. Again, consistent with the Rogerian point of view. So back to a question that we're posing to me, the Clark here, is the question of, okay, how do I go about telling people about the Wakefield Doctrine? As the best illustration of that, I'll say that I approach people about the doctrine the same way a Clark approaches everybody, which is sideways, which is with reservation, which is hedging. Clarks will do that. Clarks, as you read your background on Clarks will be the outsiders, but they're also, you know, it's easy to say Clarks are the quiet ones, the weird ones, and all like that. What isn't so easy to understand, at least initially, is how aggressive Clarks actually are. In fact, in a previous tape of this version, previous version of this interview, the question I posed myself, and I didn't know the answer at the time, was the same thing. You know, how do I tell people How do you clocks tell people about the Wakefield Doctrine? And I suggested, the answerer, as opposed to the questioner, Mr. Interlocutor. The answer at that time was that I was suggesting to me that you take apart, look closely at how clocks approach people about the doctrine, and it is not that different from how a Scot approaches people about the doctrine or relates it to people. Difference in force, difference in volume, a lot of surface things. But underneath it all, the strategy employed is sort of kind of the same. Clocks will go in as a disguise. Now we do that. Now there's 6 or 7 interviews about what clocks do when approaching strangers in a social setting. Hold on a second, let's adjust the lighting. I've just gotten through stating that clocks are not really shy or introverted, or another way of saying that is that we may for the surface be shy and introverted, but there's a layer of aggressiveness that is surprising to the uninformed, which is the way we like it. So I guess that's my short form is how we approach telling people about the doctrine is we do it a little at a time. Clocks will do that. We'll find some people that don't seem to raise the pitchforks right away. We throw out a couple of test things, the little jokes that are vague and mumbled enough just so that the only people who will hear it will be the ones that are paying a little bit of attention. And if they don't get the pitchforks out and start the torches burning, then we'll say another one a little bit louder. We're sort of doing a reverse Darwin on our social surroundings. We're holding up tests, and we're testing for people who have curiosity, willingness to step outside of the norm, and a sense of humor. And we just do it incrementally. At the same time, what we're obviously doing is we're hedging our bets. A Scot will simply walk up and say, hey, clocks don't do that. And again, that's a whole post in itself. So I think I'm probably running out of time. So I'm going to say that in closing, about the clock's view of the Wakefield Doctrine, it's a great thing. It's a tool. We're starting to now shift to packaging this thing as the self-improvement movement, which is awfully catchy. And yes, Glenn has 2 childish jokes about that. But it is that. It's a tool that is proving to be increasingly efficacious, useful, beneficial, and fun. The whole thing about what we're doing here, and this is back to what do clocks do about spreading the word on the doctrines? Well, in some clocks cases, anything. I am the case in point. I will be the lab rat, the clock rat for the Wakefield Doctrine. This is going to prove whether or not this thing works to alter your frame of reference. There's a bunch of metaphysics involved that will send the Scots screaming from the room and Rogers snorting in whatever the hell they do. Those guys are crazy. We'll have a separate post on Rogers and their genetic predisposition to unjustified disdain, that kind of stuff. But bottom line, this thing, the Wakefield Doctrine, will provide anybody, clocks first and then everybody else second, I guess, with a way to alter your life and the people in it. And unlike all the other tools and programs and systems for self-improvement, we're not going to say you're wrong and your head is crazy and you got to straighten it out. We'll just say, okay, if you're a Roger and you're not happy with your circumstances, then don't worry about the things that you can think of doing. Let's take a look at what your Scotian side or your clock-like side has to contribute. Same with the Scots. God knows they're all perfect, so they don't, as we understand from Downspring Glen, there's no need for improvement because they're already everything that they're going to be. But if they wanted to do something different, they just need to add. It's an additive kind of thing, and no subtractive. So that's the latest. Hopefully this will make it up tomorrow. See you guys later.